Hello YouTube, this is Teacher Stain. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to build a aircraft and how to put a livery on it. But like I already have a video on how to put a livery / paint on a plane, except that video is outdated with the new whole Roblox Studio thing. And I do have another video on how to make a plane, but that video is also outdated with the new release of Roblox Studio 2013. So yeah. This is, I was just checking that recording thing, so here we go. So to get started with your aircraft, you're gonna want this. So this is a Beechcraft Model 17. I can't pronounce it, but it starts with an S. And this is what you're gonna need. You're gonna need one of these little template things, and then you're gonna build on top of that template with blocks or meshes or whatever you want to build with. So in this tutorial I'm going to build a Cessna 208 caravan, and so what you're going to do is you're going to find the Wikipedia page if you want for some really good pictures of it to use. And so what you're going to do is you're going to type in the plane that you want to build. So in this case I'm just going to take that, and then you click images, and then there should be this, one of these. So I'm just gonna make sure there aren't any better ones. Nope. So I'm gonna decide whether to use this one or this one, and this one looks a lot more simple. So I'm just gonna choose this one, save to images, or whatever you do to save an image to your computer. And then you're gonna make a decal out of it. So go to Roblox, decals, create, make that picture, and then you're gonna go to Roblox Studio. Let me just see this quick, make sure I'm not recording. Okay, so, and then you're gonna make a brick, and then you're gonna put that picture on top of that brick. So here we have the picture. So that, and then you're gonna take another aircraft, like let's just get some random free model plane. And then you can just scale it off of that aircraft. So in this case, I'm just going to scale it off of this fighter jet. Or I can scale it off of another just regular aircraft that I built. So I'm just going to scale it off of this plane. And so this plane is a really small plane in real life, the aircraft that I'm moving around right now. And this plane is a lot bigger than it. So I'm just going to go like that. Just make it a bit bigger. So that's a good size. And then just gonna delete this because it might get in the way. So now when you have that started, you're gonna go to a photo on the Wikipedia, or you can just look at this picture of the plane, and you're gonna look at the shape that it's in. So it's kind of this sort of a shape, so I'm just gonna make it square because it's Roblox, and Roblox isn't very good at scaling things. So let's take a random brick, and don't create the cockpit or the tail yet, or the wings. The main priority is the cabin, then the wings, and then the tail and the cockpit. So first put this like that, and like this, and then just kind of expand it to until the cockpit and tail. So that part's done, and then copy and paste that part. move it down to the side. You don't have to do what I'm doing specifically. You can just, the main concept here is to build on top of this aircraft. And then when you're done with that, just change the material to the material you want and see what color I want to make it. I'm just going to make it a white plane, so I'm not going to color it just yet because this is white and it might get in the way. So I'm going to look at the window. The windows are square, so I'm just going to make the window square. And then locate the door, and the door is here. So I'm going to make the front windows first. And also you can scale it off of Roblox person. So for example, this guy. And you can see if the plane is too tall. So I'm just going to make it maybe put it down just a bit like that. So now we have that part done. Now we need to make the windows. So the shape of the windows is going to be square in this case. And then we're going to put 0.3 in the transparency part. It's highlighted right now. Type in 0.3 and that should happen. And then change the material to plastic. And now I'm going to color the plane. There, like that. Actually, no, I'm just going to make it this color. So I'm going to change all the colors when it's done. And then just copy and paste the windows. And try to make it equally apart from each other. And then keep doing that until you have all the windows done to the door. So I'm not going to go any further than that because the door might get in the way. So, and then just copy that side and drag it until it's on top of the other side, and then go like that and drag it to the other side. And if something happens and when you drag it to the other side and this won't fit on that, what you're going to do is on top here next to this little thing, I don't know if you can see where I'm going, but look on the top, and then the part that is flashing with my mouse is the part that you can change the sensitivity of the dragging thing, so you can kind of just go really slowly. So like if this happens and you can't get it directly on top of the window, change it to that, and then just there. So when you're done with the windows, you're going to want to fill in the part spaces between the windows. So I'm just going to make one brick like that, and like that. And then you have that brick. Oh, and that's kind of welded in there. I don't want that to happen. Let me just retry this because something's wrong with that. Okay, so we are back with the Roblox tutorial on how to build the plane, and I put the little spaces in between the bricks, and I'm just gonna turn the textures of them back to plastic, or smooth, and then color that. Okay, and when you finish with this, then you're gonna wanna create the roof of the plane, or actually, no, I'm not gonna create the roof. I'm gonna create the door. So just go like this, and then you're gonna search walk through brick, and this will also be in my pack on how to make a plane. So just like I had a pack on how to make an airport, like a pack of items that you're gonna need, or you can use, I'm gonna do that with the plane tutorial too. So there's gonna be a pack on items you might need. Oh, I had to search plane. Okay. Oh. Oh no, not one. I don't want a gun. Okay. Just take a random person and then see if he'll fit through the door. And he will. So that's a good door. And then you're just gonna first you're gonna scale down the door to whatever size you want the door. And then you're gonna copy and paste, and then you're gonna put it like that. And then put the same thing on the other side. So now you're gonna have two doors on either side that the person can actually walk into the plane from. And something's wrong. Okay, there's a little area between. Okay, there. Okay, so now since we have that done, we can get some random brick, and we can continue the fuselage back until the tail. So there we go. And then like that. And then like this. And then like that. So now we have the fuselage created until the plane ends. And then we're not going to do the tail or cockpit part yet. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make the roof of the aircraft, and then the wings, and then the cockpit, and then the tail. Some people might think that the tail is the hardest part, and that's what I think, but the cockpit's they're both probably the hardest parts to make of the aircraft. But if it's like a jet, then usually the body is pretty hard to make, and then the cockpit and the tail are the easier parts. So yeah. And I'm gonna make this plane white when it's done, so let me just get the texture of a door on there. This isn't my texture of a door, I just use it. Oh, this is kind of an example of what it'll look like when it's done. It'll look a bit like this, because this is one of the aircraft I've made. And this nose right here is a little bit wrong, but this is how I built. This is an example of what it might look like when it's done. So here's the texture there with that. It's a little too. So there you go with that. And then just color this door white. So there. Okay. Now we can. Actually, maybe I'm not gonna. Whatever. I'm just gonna leave it like that. So now we're gonna make the wings, and just go on the website again. Picture of the plane. So it looks like it has a little part that keeps filling up, and then another part on the other side, and then there's only one propeller on the front. So if you want to make a wing like this, what I usually do is I just put it on the roof of the plane. Oh, speaking of the roof of the plane, you have to put the roof on. So just what you do for the roof is you just put a brick on top of the plane. And then you just put it like this. And then you have the roof of the plane. So this is the cabin part completed. And then, actually no, there's one more part before it's completed. The next part is the floor. Because you don't want a plane without a floor or else chaos will happen. And then, okay, now it's completed. The fuselage is completed. So, when you finish it, it should look a bit like this or better. So, or if it doesn't need to be that good, just try. So, for the wing of the plane, I usually just get a, one second, let me just find a good picture of the wing. So in this example, I'm probably just going to make a square wing. So let me just go like this. So the wing starts here, so you're going to want to put a brick directly on that wing part. And then put it up a bit. So in this aircraft, the wing starts a little bit, it's not directly on the roof, but it starts like right there. And then you're going to make it as long as the wing goes. And if the wing looks, it doesn't look right on the plane, like it's a little too big, then you can size the wing down a bit. So let me just see what I can do here to make the wing look a bit better. So let me just get a random plane. Okay. One second, let me just get this part more improved. And for the wing, one of the things that I do is I put a brick on it, so like this, and then like that. And then expand it like this. And again, if the wing looks somewhat wrong, you can just expand it. It doesn't need to be scaled to the aircraft itself. So there we go. You just get this part off, so it looks the same. What color is the wing? I'm just gonna make the wing the same color as the aircraft. And then this is different than that. 1 second. I don't know why this looks different. That shouldn't look different like that. There you go. So now that it looks like part of the actual brick, or a bit like part of the actual brick, I don't know what's wrong. You're gonna do the same thing with the other part. And I'm just gonna do that real quick. Hello, so what I've done is I've completed the wings, and so how I made the wing is let me just get this part. What I did to make this wing is I got one block like that. I just got a random block, made it the size of the wing, and then I got a wedge block, and I did this. I just put a wedge block, expanded it, put it on one side, copied it, and put it on the other side too. And then I got another block, another wedge, and I put it on the tip of the mom, and put it on the tip of the wing like that, and then I put another wedge on the other tip of the wing, and then I put another block in the middle of those two wedges, and so it looks like a real wing. And now, since we have the wings, the cabin, and the windows, well, the wings and the cabin done, we have to do the cockpit and the tail. So for the tail, you have to get a wedge part. This is how I make it. You don't necessarily have to do this, but it's a really simple way to make the tail. You can go in more detail if you want, but I just use a wedge and I put it on the end of the plane. It's pretty simple. So you get a wedge, and then you resize it to fit the aircraft. So let me just get it, and then you resize it to fit the aircraft, and that should about fit. Just get that. So now that that part fits, you can color that, and then you have the back of the plane, and then after that you can actually make the actual tail of the plane. And this is the part that this is the part that is the downfall if you make it in this little detail, is that the plane's tail looks a bit weird from the top, so just to be aware of that. And let's get it. And then for the tail of the plane, you put a block, and then you just make it to like this, and then you put another block on top of that part, and then try to make it equal and not too long. So we got that part of the tail done. And again, if you want to go into more detail with the tail, you can do that. I'm not forcing you to make it like this, because this is just how to make it in as little detail as possible without making it look horrible. So, and now for the cabin of the cockpit of the plane, it gets a little bit harder because of the windows, because you could just put another wedge on the cabin of the plane, but that's kind of hard. So I'm gonna get another picture of the plane, and it looks like there's the windows, and then there's the nose is right across from the windows. So I'm going to just expand this part like that. Actually, go like that. And then I'm going to get a wedge, a transparent wedge, and then use it as the window. So just put a wedge on transparency 0.3, and then after that you can put the wedge on the same part as the windows, so it's about the same size, and then scale it to the plane like that, and make 2 of these. Depending on the aircraft, you can make 3 or 4, just how many windows there are. I'm just going to put another one on the other side. And then you can just scale these windows. So I'm just going to put it like that. And it doesn't have to be completely scale, because that's pretty hard to do. So now that we have 2 scale windows, or not, one second. So now that we have 2 windows that are about the same size, we can start with the nose part of the plane. So for the nose, what you're going to want to do is use this. This is why we expanded the brick down here, so we can make the nose. So for the nose of the plane, expand the cabin floor part as long as the tail goes. And then you're going to put a, depending on the aircraft, once again, this is just how to make an aircraft in no detail, well, a detail, but not too much detail, is what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put a block on top. So I'll put a block like this under the wing, under the windows, and then just expand it to that size, and then expand the brick back to the original size, so like that, and just put this down a bit, and then change the material, and then you have your basic aircraft. The wings, tail, the cockpit, and the cabin. So this is just a basic plane. It doesn't. If you want to go in more detail, go in more detail. And yeah. So in order to make now, I'm gonna go on to the next part, and that is how to make the landing gear and how to put on Crazy Man 32's system on it. So first, you're gonna move. This isn't gonna be needed anymore, so you can just either delete this brick or leave it. And then you're going to move this plane into the air. You don't have to, but it makes it a lot more easy. So now that we have this plane in the air, and one second. Now that we have the plane in the air, we can put on the landing gear. So I'm going to go on here, and I'm going to find the part that has the landing gear. So the landing gear goes on either side, like that. So to make really basic landing gear, what you're going to want to do is take a brick and put a circular mesh on it, and then expand it to wheel size. So it should, when you're done, it should look a bit like this. And then when you're done with that, just get another part and put another mesh into it to make it into a circle, and then make that circle really small, like that, and then put the circle on top of the wheel so it looks like that, and then drag the wheel onto the plane. And this is a little bit too long, so I'm just going to make it higher. And so when you're done, it should look a bit like this. And then you're going to copy this wheel again and do the same thing to the other side. So it looks a bit like that. And then there's also one on the nose. So you just move a landing gear onto the nose. So when you're done, just try to make the wheels as scale as possible to one another. So let me just get this, because I realized that the wheel isn't about the same to the other one, so that size is the same. And I'm going to put that onto the middle of the nose, and then that's what it should look like. And then make these a little bit smaller. Or not, let me just leave that, actually, okay. So now that we have that part done, we can put the propeller on. And a propeller will be included in the package to use for your needs. And then to put the propeller on, you just put that onto the nose of the plane, like so. And this is kind of makeshift. So if you wanted to put it in more detail, feel free to do so. So when you have this part done, you can just kind of put the other details on. So let me just get this part done. So now what I'm doing is I'm putting on the little part that holds the wing up, like that. Just to put in a bit more detail. And then do the same thing for the other side. And then it should look like that. And then you have your plane. So when you're done with all these steps, and the wheels, I know the wheels are a little bit too big on the plane, but I can fix that. So when you're done with all of that, you just put the plane back down. And then to put Crazy Man 32's plane system on it, you search Crazy Man 32. No, actually, you search plane kit old, and it should be the first one. And the name of it has the parentheses over old, and the rest of them are fake if it doesn't have parentheses on it. So and then delete all the parts and other parts, and delete all the parts and landing gear, and it should look like this. And then put the seat into the body of the plane, like so. And then put that where you want it, and then main seat, put it on transparency 1. Main, put it on transparency 1 so you can't see a huge gray part blocking out the aircraft. And then lock the plane kit and find the landing gear in your plane and cut those and paste them in landing gear. And do the same with the other wheel part. And then the same with the nose part. And then when you're done with the landing gear, you can move on to the body. So you're going to lock the plane kit again. And then you're going to just cut the rest of this stuff and paste it into the other parts. So it looks like this. And then just try to make it like a little bit more scale again. And it should look like that. And when you're all done, you can just make it the regen button. Okay, so when you're all done, put the spawn next to the plane and you can test it. and it should work. So let's just test it. And if something happens where the plane is a bit like falling apart, what you do, so in this, like, look what happened here, the plane is kind of falling apart, the brakes are unwelded and everything, so you quit out of the test mode and you anchor the plane kit and then test again, and it should look like it looked. So now you see it's a lot more plane-like, and then you can fly, go into it, and you can fly it. So thank you for watching this tutorial. If you need any help, just feel free to put them in the comments and so on, and do subscribe. And one more thing, if you want to add the seats into the aircraft's cabin, feel free to do that. Seats will also be available in the plane pack. So yeah, goodbye.